Yamaha recoils on a Big Bear 350, 1998, and looks like they ripped the handle off the rope and it got sucked in. I'm going to find out if that's true, or maybe the inside is totally missing. You never know on these machines. Well, by the looks of it, I can see the spring in there. So someone's tried to take this apart, and now the recoil for the spring is not in place. So yeah, see if I can get in there and fix that. So I took the center nut off, and I'm going to take this off. There's a spring there. Let's see where it sits. Just worried I'm going to drop these on the ground. Now I'm going to see if I can get this spool out. So this is the bottom of the spool, and you can see where the spring hooks in. And someone has obviously opened this up to try to get the rope out of the spool. I don't recommend you do it this way, because now you have to contend with this spring. This part goes on the inside of the spool, and that end has a spot right here that it hooks into. And now I have to figure out how I'm going to wind this up and get this back together, because these springs, if I pull it out of there, it's just going to come out like a coiled snake. So what I'm going to do, now that I've got this out, is I'm going to take this end with the hook, I'm going to hook it into that slot, and I'm going to force the spring in and coil it around inside this lip until I get it all the way coiled in. And I might need to get someone to help hold it in place, because it's going to build up tension as I go. We'll see how it goes. Hardest part is going to be this inset that I have to try and force the spring down and in and stay in that lip. So, well, let's give it a try. Well, that went better than I thought it would. It didn't jump out. It almost jumped out at me a couple times. But now that I've got that in place, I'm going to set this in, and I have to get that hook to hook into here. So if you have to replace your rope, you have to get this spool out, and you can see there's a hole where you can shove the rope through. It comes out there. You can tie a good knot there, and then roll it up on your spool. Give yourself some extra, because you're gonna have to get your rope on it and wind up your spring. It's a lot easier to cut the rope off than do this twice. So I've got my rope, the knot tied off. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to spool it. You can see which direction it comes out. So I'm going to make sure that the rope goes on so that when you pull it and roll the spool, it'll come out. And I'm going to give myself lots of rope, because I know that I don't want to do this twice. It's easier to cut it off. So I have lots of rope. Alright, so I've put this brass piece back on, put the spring in, and what I ended up doing is prying the spring forward with my finger, and it kind of distorted a bit, but just so I could get it on the edge of this brass. And then I put this piece in. So this is the piece that catches when you go to pull the cord and pull the starter. It catches and turns the motor over. So shoved the rope through the spool, tied a big knot, wrapped it around a whole bunch. Now I'm going to give myself an extra probably 3 feet. I'm going to put this little cup back on with the nut, and then what I'll do with the rope tucked up through this little slot here is I'm going to wind it up. I'm going to spin it around in the direction that it gets pulled. I'm going to turn it until I pretty much can't turn it anymore, And then I'm going to shove the rope up through here, get this slot up to here, shove the rope through, and then I have to tie the handle on. So I better get my handle ready first. But yeah, that's the process. So I managed to get this to turn around about 6 times. Now I've just tied it off on the rack here so I can not have to worry about this getting sucked back in while I put my handle on. All right, so we got a starter that's all put together. You just got to put it back on the machine. It's got good tension on the rope, so this is all done. Beautiful.